Warm greetings to everyone. Today, in this presentation, we are going to see some of the insights of software project management, the category project planning. So, project planning is nothing but a very important segment which comes under the software project management. We'll just see what are the subtopics available in that particular category and elaborately see the examples of it. Let us go into the presentation. So in project planning, which has got so many steps, for example, like it starts from step 0. So step 0, as we know, it has got a step like selecting the project, because it plays a very important role in every project planning and development. This particular step is used to define and identify the type of a project what we are going to develop. So it is called step 0 because it is a very important planning process in the development of any project. So the proposed projects will not appear out of this somewhere air and all. So the process should take from the person, like from where it is offered and all. So it has got so much of importance in it. So in those ways we can go for doing it. So in this, it is a feasibility study we should actually make, which might really suggest us what are the business cases for the project is available and how far it will be established if it is developed over a period of time. So that is given in the step 0. This evaluation of merits of the projects could be really very essential in the portfolio management also. And when we come to the step 1, when we proceed to the step 1, which is nothing but identifying the project scope and objectives. So any project if we take, which will actually have the specific scope in it, and of course the objectives will be there for every project, because without framing the objectives for a particular project, it cannot work out fully. So in that case, in step 1, we are going to find out how the project scope should be identified, as well as how the objectives of the particular project which is going to be developed should be framed. So that case here, we are just going to see in the step 1, which has got some few sub steps. As it is in the step 1.1, we are going to identify the objectives as we have discussed earlier, and also some practical measures of the effectiveness in meeting those objectives. Of course, we can frame some objectives, but we won't be able to meet out those objectives which are framed when we are going in the process like of developing it. So we should be also aware whether what are the objectives been already derived or already defined should be able to meet out. So that is very important one. We have to see to that in step 1.1 as the sub step, and in 1.2 we are going to see the establishing a project authority. So every project will have an authority. So establishing the particular authority comes under as the sub-step of 1.2. And in step 1.3 as the sub-step, stakeholder analysis. So stakeholder analysis is nothing but it is a very important one. Who are all the persons who are going to use the project? Who are all the persons who is going to handle the project in future after development is going to be the stakeholders. So those stakeholders or analysis should be made here. So how the interest of the stakeholders and what is the project they want actually, and what is their opinion and views would be, and all these should be analyzed in this third sub-step. And the fourth one, which is nothing but making modifications in the objectives if it is anything needed, because in the first 3 steps we have seen what are the objectives and what are the shortcomings we'll be able to face when we are meeting out those objectives. So if anything is there, any major shortcomings in meeting out those objectives, in this step we can make some modifications in the objectives as we go developing the project. And the last one is establishing the methods for communication with all the parties involved in the project. So this comes in the step. And in the next one, step 2, it is identifying project infrastructure. So identifying project infrastructure is nothing but okay, we have developed what is the title of the project, and we have confirmed the objectives, we have confirmed the scope of the project and all. Now we come for identifying what are the project infrastructure is needed actually, and how far we'll be able to cope up the infrastructure which is available, and all the other things, pros and cons, we have to check it out. So that comes in this particular step 2. So this also has got some sub-steps. So those sub-steps, if we see as a 2.1, which is nothing but identifying the relationship between the project and strategic planning, and identifying the installation standards and procedures, of course, and identifying project team organization. These are all some sub-steps which are available in how to identify a project infrastructure. And when we come for the step 3, it is analyzing the project characteristics. So analyzing the project characteristics is nothing but which has got so many sub steps. It is very simple actually, because the characteristics of a project should be clearly analyzed in the beginning itself. Then only we'll be able to go through the process and the development process in a very smooth way when the development of a project takes place. So in that way, if we see in step 3.1, the sub step of the step 3, distinguishing the project as either it is objective or product driven. So what driven? It is first very important one to identify it. And the next one, analyzing the other project characteristics, like what are the quality quantity based ones available and other things. And high level project risk, what are the high level risk? Low level risk can be easily meted out and it can be handled also, fixed. But what are the high level project risks can be occurred while the development process takes place. So that has to be here clearly identified. So that comes as your next sub step. And the next one is taking into account a user requirement concerning implementation. So that comes here. So these are all the things we have to see for the sub steps of analyzing project characteristics. And select development methodology and life cycle approach also. What life cycle approach we have to select, what methodology of development should be meted out here, and all these things we are going to see in this particular step. And reviewing all the resource estimates. So these are all comprising the step 3, which is nothing but analyzing project characteristics. And the step 4 is nothing but identifying the project products and activities. So we have come to the towards the end of the thing, because we have identified the scope, objectives, what are the shortcomings of the objectives, and of course what are the resource infrastructure related data, and everything we have finalized now. So we are coming to the next step of project planning, which is nothing but identifying the project products as well as the activities. So how far this can be derived, which is nothing but what are the products should be, the deliverables, which are nothing but the deliverables. So how the deliverables can be meted out, can be brought out. So that can be here. And the next step is nothing but document generic product flows, and recognizing the product instances, and produce ideal activity network, and modifying the ideal to take into account to need to checkpoints. So these are all the way sub steps we have got in identifying the products as well as the activities of a particular project. And the next 2 steps we have got combined together, known as stepwise project planning. 5 and 6 together it is given, which is nothing but 5 is to estimate effort for each activity, because okay, it is finalized, objectives, everything is finalized now. So we have to fix the timeline, we have to fix the activity, what is the estimation should be made. That's very important. Without making any estimation before performing any or starting any task, it cannot be proceeded, and it cannot be ended in a smooth timeline basis. In that case, estimation effort for each activity should be planned in step 5. And in step 6, identifying the activity risk. So each activity will have low level, high level, and types of risk can be involved. So based on the activity, what kind of risk it is that, so that has to be clearly identified in the step 6. Okay, so that is given. And this is nothing but the step 7, which is used to allocate the resources. Okay, so allocate the resources is nothing but okay, we have identified everything. So each activity needs how much of resources is needed for each activity. So that category should be allocated in the step 7. So that has got some 2 sub steps even, how the resources should be allocated to each step. And it all has planned now, and we come for reviewing and publicizing the plan. So it has to be, so it is formed, created, developed, everything has been done in the project, but how it has to be now reviewed, because every activity or every task has to be reviewed to get the better result. So that comes in the review of, that is nothing but the step 8. So that is here given. So this is how it comes. And step 9 and 10, after reviewing and after getting some proper results and feedback and output, we'll be able to go for executing the plan, or we'll be able to go for development. We can go for development process. So that comes in your step 9 and 10. So that is given. So overall, in the short presentation, I just would like to conclude that it is clearly suggested in the presentation that how the establishment of objectives of a project should be, and how a characteristic of a project should be derived, and how the infrastructure, resource management, product management should be made, and the allocation of resources, how it has to be, and the establishment of quality controls, how this has to be done. So all these consisting these particular topics coming under the project planning, under the major domain software project management of computer science. Thank you for your patience listening. Thank you everyone.